Good morning. February 12th, 2026. Good morning from Sunvolt Properties. Um, it's been a busy week. I've been sick, and so I've just kind of been stuck at home. But the phone rings, and I'm at the home office at the desk, and have been able to kind of facilitate things, no matter what, which is just, it's just kind of the nature of a small business like mine. Um, the longer I've gone at this job, the longer I've gone with this business, it's been more, my relationship is with vendors, and making sure that I vet the vendors, and then am able to, send them out and distribute them out to my clients as needed. And it's good. I mean, it's about relationships. It's about feeling people out. It's about vetting. I just want to give you an example here because there's been like a couple things that have come across my desk in the last month that have just been alarming. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn about the value of my service, but it's does my service have value? Yeah, it really does. So two things. One, if you live here in Arizona and you got a pool, I'm going to say there's about a 90% chance that you have a calcium ring on the water edge, and it's so prevalent that I don't notice it that much anymore. And it's like you fall into one of two camps. You either it's there and you don't notice it, you don't care, or it's there and it's driving you nuts and you want to get rid of it. So anyway, and so that's where my clients are. It's like, you know, some of them are going crazy about it, some of them aren't, but and I just tell them every pool's got it. Some of them get that. Some of them are like, what can we do to keep this thing away? Well, you just got to get it. You just got to get it removed every year or two. Maybe you can go 3 years without it. Once you kind of get it off, and you can kind of maintain it a little bit better yourself. Here's the point. I've got a guy that will remove that thing. He sandblasts it with rock salt. He just lowers the water level. It's a pretty non-intrusive. Then the rock salt, it will dissolve into the water. He cleans up really well. A couple hour process. It's like I'm just gonna ballpark it, like on the high end. Let's just say it's like between $600 and $900 service. Um, Maybe five. Maybe 1,000 if you've got a really elaborate pool. That like would take him a couple days. Maybe you're going to push into the like 1,500, but that's very rare. Average pool, I'm going to say, is probably 5 to 6. But um, then we've done this. I've had this guy do this at several of the at several of the properties I manage. So I'm talking with another guy, talking with a friend of a friend who had this done up here in Carefree. Didn't know about me, and wasn't really interested in having like a concierge property manager kind of guy. Anyway, got charged $6,000 to have this service performed on his pool. Like $6,000. Is the pool like unbelievable? No. Average, pretty nice pool, average pool. Okay. I'm going to just tell you, there was a very high end one we did down at DC Ranch, Silverleaf, a couple months ago. It was like $800, maybe even $750, but 6,000. But these people didn't know. They didn't know. Now, it's like, is that like an anomaly? Hey, man, people are running around doing, are running around, they're quoting stuff, and if people go for it, they charge them. Another one was The elastomeric coatings that are done on the flat roofs out here. It's a foam roof. It's got an elastomeric coating. Um, I've had these things. I've had guys do these things for me, licensed, unlicensed, um, for many, many years. Okay, and it used to kind of be the average going rate on this thing. Say 4,000 square foot house, 3,500 square foot house. You were looking at like whatever, 4 to 6,000. Maybe it was more like 3 to 5. But that was really kind of a long time ago. Um, cost of materials, everything now, it's the rate's it's gone up. I mean, probably put it at, closer to, um, you know, 6 to 8 kind of thing now. Maybe a little bit more, but whatever. So, but I mean, I know what the product costs. I know it's, if you want to try and get 2 coatings of that stuff on there, you want to get a guy that's going to put 2 coatings. You got to do it every like 5 to 7 years. You want to really with that foam. You don't want to let that get exposed because then it will sink. You'll get low spots. But um, that's kind of how that product. That's how that system goes. I had a guy. It came. I was getting quotes for a client, and the client's like, well, he got some, whatever, some spam mail from roofers. And he's like, well, I'm going to help out and I'm going to get some quotes too, which is totally fine. It's great. I'm not a general contractor. So I'm a concierge property manager. And generally I'm just running pool people, cleaners, HVAC, window cleaners, this kind of stuff, landscapers. Do you want me to, if you want me to find some other services for you, I can do that and I will do that. But, and so the roofing's not so much my wheelhouse, but this guy asked me to do it. So then he called some people. This guy comes out. We're talking 4,000 square foot house, flat roof, needs 2 coats of elastomeric. $31,000. He quotes like 23,000 for 1 coat, and then he quotes like 31,000 for 2 coats. It is so ridiculous that somebody would charge that much. I mean, we are talking about like a day of labor. And I think the elastomeric runs about $500 for a 5 of it. It's a little bit expensive on that end. I mean, I don't even know if it's that much, but um, whatever you need maybe 10. I think you only need about like maybe 5. So you got about 2,500 in material cost, maybe 3,000. You see where I'm getting at? So then it's like, okay, you double that. And that's where you get for labor, it's about 3,000 for So now you're looking at 6,000 day of labor. I mean, you're talking about somebody's making some money there at 6,000, right? Now you're talking $31,000, and there's going to be somebody out there who just goes, "Well, who's this going to pay it?" They don't, whatever. They're not going to get a second bid. They're not, they're not. They don't know what they're doing. They're newbies from the Midwest, and it's just a problem. But that's my spiel. Like my business is not like I've never been a volume business. I cater to, high end second homes, here in North Scottsdale, Cave Creek, Carefree. Um, but my business is down. It's been down for a little while. I've always got, in the past, I've always had a lot of referrals, kind of kept my roster, between like, 12 and 14 houses. It allows me to be available at all times because I can manipulate my schedule. I can meet vendors. I'm meeting an appraiser today for a client at 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon because he wants, because he's not here and he's doing a refi, wants to get the thing appraised. I take care of that, but I'm available. They call me, I'm available. And I'm going to save you money. I'm going to save you money on your pool. I'm going to save you money on your landscaping. I'm going to save you money on your HVAC. I'm going to save you money on your flat roof. I'm going to save you money on your calcium ring on your pool. So otherwise, you know what? I wish you the best.